It is better to be impetuous than cautious, for fortune is a woman, and it is necessary, if you wish to master her, to conquer her by force. Machiavelli understood that timing is not a neutral force. It is the battlefield itself. Every move you make is judged not only by its strength, but by its placement in time. Strike too late, and the crown is already on another head. Strike too early and you cut into air, exposing yourself to ruin. Poor timing is the silent enemy that topples empires. You see it in history, when rulers delayed until rebellion grew unmanageable. You see it today, when an investor holds onto a stock too long and watches millions evaporate, or when someone jumps onto a trend the moment it fades and becomes the fool at the feast. The principle does not change across centuries. Fortune favors bold action, but destroys those who confuse boldness with recklessness. Your task is to sharpen the blade of discernment. Boldness is not lunging at every opening. Boldness is knowing which opening leads to victory and which is a trap. Think of the predator crouched in tall grass. It waits, muscles locked in stillness, every breath calculated. Strike too soon and the prey escapes. Strike too late and the prey has passed into safety. Survival belongs to the one who waits long enough to see the moment, yet fast enough to seize it when it appears. This balance applies to you, in your work, in your relationships, in your ambitions. Your power depends on knowing when to pause and when to advance. Do not confuse waiting with weakness. Do not mistake speed for strength. The throne belongs to the one who acts with precision. Every hesitation costs. Every reckless rush leaves scars. Authority is measured by those who can master both sides of the clock. Patience that does not surrender, and action that is not panic. Hold this truth like steel in your hand. The enemy is poor timing. The crown belongs to discipline. Wait with steel, strike with fire. Your mind is the throne, and if you do not command it, timing will command you. Every crown begins in the unseen war inside. Impulse is the assassin that strikes too early. Hesitation is the traitor that holds back too long. Authority belongs to the sovereign who governs both. Psychology has long revealed the cost of surrendering to impulse. In the well-known Stanford marshmallow experiment, children who could wait for a larger reward later often achieved greater success years after. The lesson is not about candy, it is about power over the inner clock. If you cannot wait when waiting builds strength, you will never be trusted with real authority. If you cannot strike when the moment arrives, you will always watch another take your place. Look at your own habits. Every time you reach for your phone to refresh without purpose, you train your mind to kneel to impatience. Social media feeds are the battlefield where millions surrender discipline in exchange for momentary distraction. Each tap weakens your throne. You begin to live by the rhythm of other people's updates instead of your own command. That is how sovereigns become subjects without realizing they have fallen. Guard your attention as you would guard a fortress. Decide when you will look, not when the device calls. Think in the language of war. A king who charges into battle before his knights are ready ensures defeat, not glory. The enemy is not stronger. The land is not lost. The failure is timing. In the same way, if you move before your resources, allies, and strategy align, you lose the crown before the fight begins. Patience is not inaction, it is preparation. Discipline is your weapon. Rule yourself first. When desire pushes you to act instantly, hold the line. When fear tempts you to wait forever, issue the command to advance. The sovereign does not bow to impulse or stall in doubt. He listens to the inner clock, then chooses with precision. Control the throne within. and every strike outside will carry weight. Master impulse and the world bends to your timing. Rule your mind, or it will rule you. Morning is the battlefield where the first strike decides the course of the entire campaign. The hours just after waking are not casual. They are decisive terrain. Win them, and the day bends to your command. Lose them, and the day marches over you. The sovereign knows that timing does not begin at midday meetings or late-night reflections. It begins the moment your eyes open. Science confirms what warriors of old intuited. Human energy follows circadian rhythms, natural peaks and troughs that dictate alertness and performance. In the early hours, your mind is clear, cortisol levels prepare the body for action, and focus is sharper than it will be later. This is why victories secured in the morning feel easier, as if the battlefield itself supports your movement. By contrast, when you waste the early hours in distraction or drift, you are not only idle, you are actively eroding the rhythm that was designed for strength. Commanders who march at dawn carry the advantage of nature itself. Look at the modern world. The difference between those who lead industries and those who trail behind is often how they treat the first hours. Many CEOs, athletes, and disciplined professionals rise early, not because early is magical, but because early is unclaimed territory, while most are still asleep or stumbling through aimless routines. The disciplined are already advancing. They have written, trained, or planned before the rest even open their phones. Contrast that with the late riser who begins already behind, rushing to catch up, surrendering control to the pace of others. Weak, I'll get to it later. Strong, I begin now. That single swap determines who sets the agenda and who obeys it. Imagine entering the field while the enemy still sleeps. The gates are open. The throne is undefended. Every move you make before the world fully awakens multiplies in effect because resistance is minimal. That is the secret of the morning campaign. You are not fighting against the full weight of the world yet. You are carving your path before the opposition assembles. This is why even small acts of discipline at dawn ripple with disproportionate power. Do not waste this terrain. Establish rituals that armor your throne before distractions breach the walls. Choose movement over drift. Choose creation over consumption. Choose focus over noise. These are not small preferences. They are decisive orders. Each morning you either command or you concede. Claim the battlefield at dawn. Command the rhythm before it commands you. Strike first, and the day kneels. History provides a clear lesson. When Hannibal stormed Italy with unmatched speed and skill, Rome turned to Fabius Maximus. Instead of rushing into battle, he delayed. He shadowed Hannibal's forces, refused open confrontation, cut off supplies, and forced the Carthaginian army into frustration. His patience was mocked. Critics called him cowardly, weak, or passive, yet that strategy bled Hannibal's momentum and bought Rome the time it needed to survive. Delay became the blade. In the end, the one who waited was the one who preserved the state. This is the principle you must hold. Stillness is not surrender. It is controlled. The same principle applies to you in modern fields. In negotiation, silence is often more powerful than speech. You sit across the table, and instead of rushing to fill the air with justifications or concessions, you hold the line. That pause forces the other person to reveal more than they intended. Weak, I'll take whatever you can offer. Strong, I'll wait until you name your best. The difference is not in aggression, but in composure. Authority is not always declared. It is often implied by the refusal to flinch. You will face moments when people demand immediate answers. They will push, test, and prod to see if they can break your calm. This is where many rulers fall. giving away power by reacting too quickly. In those moments, stillness is your shield. You do not need to meet every challenge with noise. Sometimes the most commanding move is the refusal to be rushed. Picture a general on the ridge, watching smoke rise from the enemy camp. The impatient leader descends too soon, charging into a trap. The disciplined sovereign waits. He watches until hunger, fear, or confusion weakens the other side. Then, and only then, does he strike. The battlefield is not won by constant motion. It is won by precision, and precision is born from patience. Do not confuse waiting with weakness. Waiting becomes weakness only when it is passive. Waiting becomes power when it is chosen. Your task is to turn stillness into a blade. Stand calm while others waste their strength. Watch longer, breathe slower. Then, when the moment appears, cut cleanly.
Wait like stone, strike like thunder.
There are moments when waiting is poison. Delay does not strengthen your hand. It rots it. In power, hesitation at the wrong time is surrender. There is a reason Machiavelli warned that it is better to be impetuous than cautious. Fortune bends to those who strike before the gate closes. History gives you the clearest example. When Julius Caesar stood at the Rubicon, he knew hesitation would mean obscurity. His enemies in Rome were already plotting to end him. If he delayed, his legions would dissolve and his destiny would vanish. He crossed. That single act, immediate and irreversible, set the course of the empire. Had he paused to calculate further, he would have been remembered only as a failed general. There are moments when one step defines whether you rule or fade. The same principle governs today's fields of commerce and strategy. In business, acquisitions are decided not only by who has the money, but by who moves first. The first mover seizes, defines terms, and commands the market. The second mover begs for scraps. Weak, I'll wait until the conditions are perfect. Strong, I'll seize the opportunity before it hardens into someone else's advantages. Delay in these moments is not caution, it is abdication. You cannot claim the throne after handing it to another. This truth is brutal, but necessary. A sword left in its sheath while the enemy strikes is already a lost kingdom. You cannot defend, you cannot command, and you cannot intimidate if you refuse to draw. In your own life, this plays out when you hesitate to launch the idea you have already built, or when you stall on a decision that demands immediate action. Every day you wait, the field shifts against you. Someone else takes the ground you hesitated to claim. You may encounter resistance. Someone will say you are reckless for moving too quickly. Answer calmly. Recklessness is motion without strategy, but decisiveness is strategy expressed in time. The difference is not in speed, but in clarity. Once your plan is aligned, act without apology. Authority is measured by your ability to cut cleanly when the moment arrives. Do not worship patience in situations where delay destroys your advantage. Do not disguise fear as strategy. When the crown is unguarded, take it. When the enemy falters, strike. When the path is open, advance without hesitation. These moments do not return. Cut fast, cut clean, cut without fear. Authority is not only in what you say or do, it is when you choose to appear. Presence too constant is noise. Presence too rare is neglect. The sovereign must master timing in appearances, because the moment you step into sight, you either elevate your throne or weaken it. History proves this. Monarchs often understood that their power was magnified not by constant access, but by scarcity. A king who walked the streets daily risked becoming ordinary in the eyes of his people. A ruler who appeared only on holy days, ceremonies, or victories created awe. The gap between absence and presence created tension. That tension is what burned the image of power into memory. Machiavelli knew respect fades with overexposure. The prince must be seen, but only at the moment when his presence shifts the field. The same holds in today's world of modern visibility. Celebrities and leaders who vanish between projects, appearances, or announcements often command more attention than those who constantly flood the stage. Scarcity builds value. The public leans forward when the silence finally breaks. Think of the actor who disappears for years, then returns with one striking role, compared to the one who appears in every trivial project. Weak, I'll stay visible at all costs. Strong, I'll choose moments that demand notice. You cannot be rare and constant at the same time. Choose rare. Picture the image of a masked ruler. His face is hidden most of the time, but at the decisive hour, when judgment is passed, when victory is claimed, he removes the mask. That single moment imprints itself in memory because it was not overused. Scarcity is not a weakness. It is deliberate power. Command your appearances. Do not scatter them. Choose the moments when your presence bends outcomes, then arrive with clarity and finality. The battlefield remembers those who enter only when it matters. Appear rarely, command completely. Impatience is the assassin inside you. It whispers to move before the ground is ready, to act before the target is exposed. But timing is not frenzy. Timing is mastery. To rule yourself, you must kill the urge to strike simply because you feel the tension of waiting. The sovereign wields silence like a blade, releasing it only when the moment guarantees impact. Neuroscience explains this duel. Your limbic system, the seat of raw emotion, urges immediate action. It pushes you to react without calculation, to seize relief in the moment. Opposing it is the prefrontal cortex, the ruler of judgment and restraint. This is where strategy lives. Those who let the limbic drive rule their choices live like soldiers who charge without orders, loud, fast, and easily cut down. Those who strengthen the prefrontal throne resist the call of frenzy, conserving power until the strike has purpose. Every pause you endure against impulse is not weakness. It is training the mind to serve the crown, not topple it. You see this war in the modern economy. Traders who act on every market fluctuation bleed fortunes. Gamblers who chase every flicker of chance walk away, stripped of both money and dignity. The same battlefield repeats in daily life. People who send messages too quickly, commit to plans without thought, or erupt in anger before listening all surrender power to impulse. Weak, I couldn't help myself. Strong, I chose my moment. That difference builds or destroys kingdoms. Consider the assassin. If he draws too soon, the guards awaken. The mission fails before the strike is made. But the one who waits, breathing steady, blade hidden, owns the throne with a single decisive cut. The metaphor is not about violence, it is about control. The more you discipline your impulses, the sharper your action becomes when it finally arrives. The strike is feared because it is rare, and rare because it is deliberate. In moments of pressure, people will urge you to act immediately. They will say waiting is a weakness. Respond with calm certainty. Frenzy is weakness. Patience is command. Control is not the absence of action, but the mastery of when to release it. Do not let impulse kill your crown. Do not act because waiting feels uncomfortable. Wait because the moment is not yet ripe. Then, when the opening appears, cut with precision. Kill impulse. Rule timing. Hunger is the clock of the predator. It dictates when to move, when to wait, and when to strike. If you do not command it, it commands you. The sovereign understands that desire is fuel, but also fire. Feed it wisely, and it sharpens your patience. Feed it blindly, and it consumes your throne before you sit upon it. Evolution built this truth into the bones of survival. Predators that rushed at every flicker of movement wasted energy and starved. Those that waited until the right prey faltered survived. The timing instincts of wolves, lions, and hawks were not born from luxury, but from necessity. Nature rewarded restraint and punished frenzy. The same principle governs human ambition. Your hunger is not an enemy, but it is not a friend either. It is a force. Left unruled, it turns you into prey instead of hunter. In modern life, ambition mirrors this law. Hunger pushes you to reach further, to resist complacency, to demand more than what you already hold. But when unguided, it becomes destructive. Traders who chase every opportunity lose fortunes. You will meet people who argue that constant action is the mark of drive. They will say, waiting is laziness. Respond calmly. Real drive is measured not by motion but by precision. Frenzy is not hunger disciplined. Frenzy is hunger unchained. The wolf that lunges at every bird in the trees collapses in exhaustion. The wolf that waits for the wounded stag feeds for days. Hunger is not to be feared. It is to be mastered. When you feel restless, remember it is only the clock reminding you of your power. Do not strike because the hunger is loud. Strike because the hunger has been aimed. Starve distraction, feed patience, feast on victory. Life is a chessboard, and every move you make changes the entire field. To treat waiting as idleness is to misunderstand the game. Waiting is repositioning. It is maneuvering pieces into silence until the moment when the strike becomes inevitable. The sovereign learns that timing is not only about bold moves, but about forcing the opponent to move first. In chess, the concept of tempo teaches this truth. A single wasted move can shift control of the entire board. Zugzwang is even harsher, the position where every move your enemy makes weakens them. To reach that point, you must endure the discipline of restraint, sometimes passing up quick attacks to construct pressure that leaves no escape. The principle is universal. Real power is not only about striking well, but about placing others in positions where their options destroy them. In modern life, you see this on the battlefield of industry and technology. Companies that release products too early often collapse under flaws and failures. Those that wait, watching rivals expose weaknesses, can enter the market with precision and dominance. Timing in business is not passive. It is pressure. It is the patience to let competitors exhaust themselves before you take the crown. Weak. I must rush to prove myself. Strong. I will wait until my move is undeniable. The board does not reward those who lunge without calculation. Imagine the black knight in a corner. The white queen advances, pressing aggressively, believing the board is hers, but the knight waits. One square too far, and the queen overextends. Then the knight leaps with thunder, shifting the balance of the game in an instant. The knight's strength was never in constant motion, but in patience, silence, and timing. So it is with you. Your task is to think beyond the move in front of you. Every choice you make rearranges the field. Do not confuse stillness with weakness. Do not mistake patience for surrender. When you hold back, make sure it is to build pressure. When you act, make sure the strike is decisive. Life, like chess, punishes recklessness, but crowns the one who controls the rhythm. Do not let others rush you onto their timetable. Force them onto yours. Place them in positions where every option is a concession. That is the mark of strategy, not luck. Control the board, and time bends to you. Timing is not luck. It is a ritual. The prince who believes decisive moments arrive by chance is already ruled by chaos. Authority belongs to the one who has trained his will until patience and action answer his command, like soldiers obeying a signal. Discipline makes time your servant. Without discipline, time devours you. Consider the samurai. For them, the blade was not drawn on impulse. It was drawn only when death was certain, when hesitation or excess would dishonor the warrior. Their rituals trained the body to resist frenzy, to wait until the moment demanded a strike. Centuries of practice hardened the truth. The sword has meaning only when bound to restraint. You must learn the same lesson. Every action must be the result of design, not reaction. This principle echoes in modern arenas. Elite athletes do not peak by accident. They train with deliberate cycles, holding back their maximum output until the championship demands it. Weeks of conditioning, timing rest, controlling nutrition, and structuring practice sharpen them for one decisive performance. If they burned everything too early, they would fail when it mattered most. Discipline is not glamorous, but it is the foundation of victory. Weak, I will give everything at once. Strong, I will give everything when the moment is ripe. That difference defines champions from spectators. Now imagine the warrior in solitude. Day after day, he rehearses each strike until his blade becomes one with his pulse. The ritual is repetitive, but it is not wasted. It builds timing into the marrow. When the hour of battle comes, he does not guess. He does not hesitate. The strike releases itself because discipline has married instinct to order. This is the iron will ritual. It is training your hunger, your silence, and your courage until they bend to your clock. Build rituals that prepare you for decisive hours. Rise at consistent times. Train your focus when others drift. Practice restraint in conversation until silence feels natural. Direct your energy so that when the field opens, you can release it with certainty. Discipline is not punishment. It is sovereignty. Train the clock. Rule the strike. To master timing is to step outside it. The sovereign who commands the clock is no longer rushed by others or delayed by fear. He becomes the measure. His silence sets the pace. His movement dictates the rhythm. When you reach this level of control, you are no longer a player on the board. You are the board itself. History shows that true leaders bent time to their will. Alexander did not wait for the world to present him with the perfect moment. He carved it by striking swiftly across continents before rivals could react. Napoleon too mastered timing by moving faster than entire coalitions could assemble. His genius was not only in tactics, but in rhythm. He forced empires to fight on his schedule, not theirs. These figures remind you that timing is not only about patience, but about the authority to set the tempo of history. You see the same pattern in modern arenas. Entrepreneurs who define trends become untouchable because they dictate what the world pays attention to. They do not chase what is popular. They release at moments that transform the market, forcing others to follow. Weak, I need to keep up. Strong, I will set the pace. That difference turns ambition into sovereignty. If you wait for permission, you live by someone else's calendar. If you move with precision, others shape themselves to your rhythm. Imagine the sovereign whose shadow becomes the sundial of the kingdom. The people do not look at the sky to know the hour. They look at him. His very presence defines when to begin, when to pause, when to end. This is the essence of becoming untouchable. You no longer scramble between extremes of hesitation and recklessness. You move with inevitability. Each strike feels fated because it arrives exactly when it must. Your task is to train for this state. Kill distractions that demand constant response. Refuse to be hurried by those who thrive on urgency. Equally, refuse to drift in delay. Act when action serves strategy, and wait when waiting builds advantage. Let neither frenzy nor fear hold the throne. Command the rhythm so completely that others adjust to you. The timeless prince is not bound by clocks. He is the clock. Others mark their steps against his stride. That is what it means to become untouchable. Do not follow time, become its master. Power is not measured only by the size of armies or the strength of resources. Power is measured by mastery of time. The rulers who carved history into their names were not always the strongest. They were those who struck when the strike was fatal and waited when waiting made them untouchable. The lesson repeats across centuries. Control of time is control of destiny. To strike and to wait are not opposites. They are two blades of the same sword, and sovereignty belongs to the one who knows which edge to wield. History shows this clearly. Alexander swept across the ancient world because he never allowed enemies to recover. He struck before coalitions could form, before fear could fade. Napoleon seized Europe by moving faster than entire armies could march, forcing rivals to fight on his schedule. Caesar's crossing of the Rubicon was not just bold, it was precise. Hesitation would have ended his career. His timing gave Rome no chance to prepare. These men were not only generals, they were keepers of the clock. They proved that force without timing is wasted, but force with timing rewrites the map. The same principle governs your life now. In careers, relationships, and revolutions of every kind, the one who controls time controls the game. When you delay too long, opportunity hardens into regret. When you act too soon, you sabotage your own foundation. But the sovereign bends the rhythm to his advantage. He does not answer every call instantly, nor does he stall into paralysis. He decides when silence sharpens respect, and when decisive words cut through noise. Weak, I react to whatever happens. Strong, I dictate when things happen. The framing alone separates leaders from followers. Think of negotiations. The one who panics in silence loses. The one who holds still while the other reveals desperation gains control without saying a word. Think of strategy. A company that rushes to release a product first often collapses under flaws. A company that waits strategically until rivals reveal weaknesses commands the market. Think of personal power. The individual who speaks only when necessary commands more attention than the one who floods the air with endless explanations. Time obeys the one who is unriddable and inevitable. You are both predator and clock. When you strike, it must feel like lightning, impossible to avoid, impossible to ignore. When you wait, it must feel like eternity, unyielding, unbending, impossible to rush. That dual mastery makes you sovereign over perception. Others cannot measure you because your timing no longer bends to impulse or pressure. They learn to move around you, to adjust to your rhythm, to anticipate but never predict. That is when you know you have become untouchable. This mastery is not built in a day, it is forged through discipline. You must train your hunger so it fuels patience instead of frenzy. You must control impulse so it sharpens precision instead of scattering energy. You must learn to appear rarely but decisively so that each presence carries weight. Every ritual you build, your mornings, your silence, your restraint, conditions you to own the rhythm instead of being owned by it. You will be told sometimes that time rules all men. Answer calmly, only those who fail to rule themselves. Time is ruthless to the weak, but bends to the strong. It bends to those who are not pulled by urgency and not trapped by fear. It bends to those who do not need constant motion to prove strength, but choose the right moment with clarity and conviction. Mastery of timing is not about winning every moment. It is about choosing the moments that matter and letting the rest fall away. The sovereign of time does not fight every battle, speak every word, or chase every opportunity. He chooses, and when he chooses, the world feels the weight of inevitability. Do not chase time. Do not fear time. It's time. When you do, hesitation no longer poisons you, and frenzy no longer betrays you. You strike with certainty. You wait with strength. You rule with inevitability. Be the clock. Strike as destiny. Rushing is slavery to chaos. Precision is sovereignty. The crown does not belong to the one who moves fastest, but to the one who moves with inevitability. You are not judged by how many battles you enter, but by the ones you choose to win. Every strike that matters comes from discipline, not desperation. Machiavelli compared fortune to a river. Left unchecked, it floods and destroys, but the wise build dams and gates, holding back the torrent until they release it at the chosen moment. That is timing. You cannot stop the forces of chance or control every storm, but you can decide when and how to channel them. Authority belongs to the one who directs energy with precision instead of drowning in it. In your own life, the same law applies. When you rush, you surrender control. You let urgency dictate your choices, scattering your strength. The sovereign refuses this slavery. He waits without apology. He observes longer, prepares deeper, and then strikes once, clean and final, weak. I must act before I lose the chance. Strong. I will act when the chance becomes mine. That shift is not just language, it is command. Do not mistake waiting for weakness. Waiting without intention is drifting. Waiting with clarity is building power. The throne belongs to the one who knows when patience sharpens and when delay destroys. Your task is to train this discernment until hesitation dies and frenzy dissolves. You are neither too soon nor too late. You are exact. The final truth is this: time obeys no man, but it bows to mastery. Rule yourself, and you rule your clock. Rule your clock, and you rule your crown. Wait with steel, strike with fire. Rule as the master of time.